time of the day it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. It's time for Unfiltered Radio Show with Pastor Jason Gaszak. That would be me, your show host today. I want to encourage you that if it is your first time listening, share with your friends. Tell all your friends about the radio show. Let them know to follow me on social media and subscribe to my YouTube page as I keep coming up with more and more videos. If you subscribe, it'll actually send you an alert or an email letting you know a new video has been posted. This platform, if you do not know, is really a platform for me, a pastor, to speak on political, social, and biblical topics from an unfiltered perspective as a pastor. A lot of people have their opinions, but a lot of pastors don't really share their opinions, and sometimes we can't from the pulpit, so to speak, from the church platform. So with the radio show, I have a different platform that I can do this with. I want you to know that these shows are pre-recorded. However, it's not like we take multiple takes to get something right. I literally jump into the topics. I record live in the moment, and I don't go back and edit anything, and I try to allow myself to just go in the moment from my perspective on my opinion about the things that I discuss. That's what this show is about. I hope you enjoy it. Have had many people go to the app and give some feedback on there. Also on our social media page. It's great feedback, and I just want to continue to grow the show and grow the audience, because without you, the listener, there would be no Unfiltered Radio Show. So thank you for your support. Speaking of support, I want to just give my sponsor a shout out right now. I have one show sponsor, and that sponsor is Silo Restaurant in Sullivan, Missouri. They have great food. Again, big salad bar, known for their zucchini and onion rings. I encourage you to go to Sullivan when you're in the area, heading to the lake, whether you're heading to Branson, heading to Springfield, whatever direction you're heading, stop in Sullivan, Missouri at Silo Restaurant. They also have amazing steaks. They have a cafe, ice cream, you name it, they've got it. Check them out, Silo Restaurant in Sullivan, Missouri. Well, today, your show is going to be a plethora of things. The first couple of segments, I'm just going to talk about some current situations that are going on. I want to get your opinion on at least one of them, and that's the first one that I'm going to talk about. And that's actually what went in effect on Monday, August 28th. If you do not know, you need to know, because once you know, you know. And you can't get out of it because now you know. And that is the new hands-free cell phone driving law that goes into effect, or I should say that went into effect on Monday, August 28th. Governor Parsons signed this law to where we can no longer use your cell phone unless it's hands-free. And I got to thinking about this, and I understand, I really do understand that cell phones are very distracting to drivers. There's no doubt in my mind. But I'm just struggling with two things. One, where is the person supposed to take responsibility for their habits of driving and being responsible in driving and not trying to send an email or type an email on your phone while you're driving or scrolling through social media while you're driving, especially like in rush hour traffic. I mean, if you are literally on the highway and it's, there's no one out and about and that's your choice, then I guess that's your choice. I don't think it's very safe, because you could literally get so distracted that you're not even paying attention to the road and obviously can wreck. And we've seen hundreds of wrecks caused by cell phones, being distracted by a cell phone. People have literally died because someone was distracted on their phone. I understand why they want to do this, but it goes back to the fact that we're not making people responsible. I think the penalty needs to be a lot worse when you're caught in an accident using your cell phone. There needs to be a penalty to deter people from doing this very thing. It's kind of like, again, the government stepping in and trying to protect everybody else's safety. And I don't know. I struggle with that. I struggle with the fact that you want me to wear my seatbelt so I'm safe. But that's my opinion. That's my discretion. I should be able to get to choose whether or not I wear my seatbelt or wear a helmet. Now, which is the dumbest thing in the world. So now you don't have a helmet law, but yet you still have to wear a seatbelt. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Hello, I'm way more protected in my vehicle than I would be on a motorcycle. But for some reason, we have now went with the no helmet law, which I agree with because I think it needs to be left up to the person riding the bike if they want to wear a helmet or not. Do I think it's wise? No, I don't. I also want to be the person that decides whether or not I want to wear a seatbelt. Now, do I think it's wise not to wear a seatbelt? No, I don't. I think it would be absolutely wise. I finally got myself in such a good habit that I don't even like not wearing it. It feels weird not wearing my seatbelt. And it just really does give me a comfort of safety. And sure, you can die in a car accident even wearing your seatbelt. As a matter of fact, your seatbelt can cause you to die in a car accident, but it's very, very few. That's the thing we got to think about. My chances are better if I wear the seatbelt than not wear the seatbelt. And that's just wisdom. Because to me, it's not about right or wrong. It's actually about, is it wise? So now we put in this law that people cannot have a cell phone in their hand. So I struggle with that. I also struggle with the fact is how in the world are they going to catch everybody on their cell phone? I mean, really, that's what it's come to is now, if a police officer sees you on your phone, they're going to pull you over and give you a ticket. I don't know if they're going to do that. I guess some will, and maybe some won't. But at the same time, you might have your phone in use and you see a police officer and all of a sudden you put it down because that's what people are going to do. So you're not going to end this. That's what I'm getting at. Just because there's a law, I don't feel like you're going to end the problem with people still being on their phones. I really don't. And so, okay. So here we got the cell phone law now. It's actually the Citizens-Binning hands-free law is what it's called. And so drivers in Missouri will not be able to hold their cell phone while they are driving, including manually typing, scrolling, or holding their cell phone. The law does allow drivers to use hands-free cell phone features. And so this includes Bluetooth, talk to text, and other talk and navigation functions. Again, you use your phone to navigate, and there are times where you have to type something in to where you're going. I just don't see this ending. The next thing's going to be you can't eat or drink in the car because that's also distracting. You can't put on your makeup in the car while driving because that's distracting. You can't shave your beard with an electric razor because that's also distracting. I'm just trying to figure out where the line is with this because next it's going to be you can't eat or drink in your car. Because I'm going to tell you right now, you're eating a sandwich, you got your soda in the cup holder, you're driving, and something falls in your lap off your food, and the next thing you look down in the spur of the moment and you don't see the car in front of you, tap the brakes, and bam, you're rearing somebody. That's what I'm getting at. I am just so frustrated at the government constantly putting in laws to protect people. And yeah, I want my kids to be safe, and I don't want some idiot out there trying to send an email while they're driving because it's not wise. But at the same time, I just don't feel like that is the right move to make. Tell me what you think about this. Put it in the chat. Send me a text on this issue. Let me get that number for you. It's 314-924-4215. Again, the 314-924-4215. Or really the best way to communicate is on the app. Go to the app. Let me know what you think about this new cell phone law. Do you like it or do you not? And then just give me a little brief why. I just don't see this thing working. Just another law put into effect to try to control people's irresponsibility and bad habits. And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, we all have them, including myself. I really do try to stay off my phone, scrolling through social media or trying to read a text or an email while I'm driving. I really do, because it's dangerous. I do it at stoplights, or if I'm sitting in, an accident and a traffic stop, something like that. I really do try to stay off my phone. But the one thing I don't like, I'm really not a big hands-free. I put my phone on speaker, but I hold it up to my kind of ear. I don't leave it. I really try not to use the feature the car has, because I don't know. It sounds weird on the other end of me. Either way, let me know what you think in the chat about this new cell phone law. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the little boy with the GADSDEN flag, and we're also going to talk about a man that was charged with larceny, finding money in the bank parking lot. We'll be right back in just a minute. Well, I hope you weren't trying to message me on the app while you were driving, because that is illegal these days. Matter of fact, we just talked about it in the first segment, that using your cell phone in your hand while driving is now illegal, and you can get a ticket. So, wanted to make you aware and do a public service for all of you out there that may not have known. Now you know. Let's talk about this 12-year-old boy that got kicked out of his class for wearing a GADSDEN, or he had a GADSDEN flag patch on his backpack. And there's this video that the mom recorded as she's sitting in the office with one of the administrators of the school, talking about how this GADSDEN flag is racist. It actually talks about slavery. I guess my first thing is this. You are a teacher, you're an administrator, which means you're supposed to know what that flag stands for, and you don't. This is my concern with teachers today. They don't know what they're talking about when it comes to our history, but yet they're teachers, they're educators, teaching your children about history and about school and math and science and all these things, but yet they don't even know the simplistic fact of what the GADSDEN flag even stands for. Do you just not go and look this stuff up, or do you just go with your opinion of what you think it is? Because those are two different things. There are facts and then there are opinions. And most things do have facts, but there are things like opinions. They're subjective. You might like vanilla ice cream and you might think it's the best ice cream ever, but somebody else says, I don't like vanilla, I like chocolate, and that's the best ice cream ever. That is subjective to your opinion. The facts are both vanilla and chocolate ice cream are made with milk. That's the facts. So you can't distort the facts of what something is. Anyway, let me read a little bit. It's a school out of Colorado. Imagine that. And on top of that, it's a charter school. And the lady said that it was disruptive to the classroom environment. And it has origins with slavery. Really? This flag has nothing to do with slavery. I'm wearing today a Don't Tread on Me t-shirt. That's right. Right there. If you're watching online, you can see it. It's got the American flag on the sleeve. It's got the snake, the rattlesnake, and it says Don't Tread on Me, and it's yellow just like the flag. And I bought this when I did my God and Country series, and the reason why I bought it is because I think it's got a great meaning behind it, that when the government or when tyranny begins to be put into effect, that we, the people, are to strike back and say, no way, Jose. Don't tread on me. Don't try to walk on me. Don't try to walk over me. That ain't how this is going to work. And it all started in the American Revolution it's a symbol of the 13 colonies fighting against the British crown. It has nothing to do with slavery. It has everything to do with the people in the earlier days saying, no, we're not going to let you do this. This is tyranny. This is not going to work. And so, boom, this flag was created for that reason. And that's just the short version of it. I don't even want to get into the long version of it because it's pointless. I just wanted to talk about how ridiculous this is that teachers are allowing a little bitty patch on a backpack to say that thing disrupted the environment of the classroom. Bull crap. It offended you as the teacher because you don't believe a certain way. And therefore, because you are a leftist liberal, you are offended. And so we got to change our belief. We got to change what we do to help you not be offended. Which is ridiculous because that's not what America is about. America is about having your opinion. Believe the way you want to. But be okay with somebody else's belief if it's not your belief. That's the great part about living in America. You can believe the way you want to. And yes, you do have the right to be wrong in the way you believe, but you still get to believe that way. But what you cannot do is try to force somebody else's beliefs on them or on you. You can't force your beliefs on them, and they can't force their beliefs on you. And so what? They're wearing a shirt that's offensive to you. There's a lot of things that are offensive to me. When I see a man dressed like a woman, that's offensive to me as a man. But yet I don't go tell them to get out of the classroom if they're a homosexual or they're a transgender. That's their right to be what they want. I think it's ridiculous and I think it's wrong. But at the end of the day, that is their choice. So if that offends me as a person, that you're really a male, but you dress like a woman, then you should leave the classroom. I mean, if this is going to go both directions, that's the way it should go for me. But see, the right, they don't do that. The conservatives, we're not like that. We allow you to be what you want to be. And we just go on with life and we try to fight against it. But you, on the other hand, you leftists, you don't like that. What you want is you want us to change. You want us to do things so you're not offended. Well, that's not the way it's going to work. Now, I can't wait to hear how this story ends. Really, what I would like is I'd like for that mom just to pull her kid out of that school and say, you know what? We'll homeschool him or we'll put him in a school where he can have his voice. Because there's this thing called the Constitution that allows you to have a voice to believe what you want to believe. And it's not offensive. That'd be like wearing the American flag and then saying it's offensive. Now, the Confederate flag, that's a different story, but not the GADSDEN flag. Very different meaning behind the two. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the app. Or you can text me, 314-924-4215. We're going to have to take a break in a minute, but my next topic is something kind of funny. There was a man who found a bag out in the bank parking lot that had nearly $5,000 in it. The man kept the money. It was in a bank bag with a bank deposit and name written on the paperwork. But the man said, "Today is my lucky day. I just found $5,000 and now it's mine." Here's the ironic thing. He kept the cash for 3 months and never spent it. So if you do that, you know you're guilty of taking something that is not yours. I'm just telling you, it's pretty simple. You found money on the ground in a bag. It wasn't like there was cash blowing around. It was in a bag with a person's name on it. And you took it. And if you weren't guilty of it, you would have spent that money right away. But you didn't. You let it set for 3 months to see if anybody would notice before you spent it. Well, guess what? He got caught. And now he's in trouble. And he's being charged with larceny. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit more about this because this is hilarious. This isn't karma, ladies and gentlemen. This is a biblical principle. You reap what you sow. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a minute. You're listening to Unfiltered on the Real Talk Radio Network. Let's jump right into this story about the man who found $5,000 in the bank parking lot, holds on to it for 3 months, and then he gets caught. A Connecticut man said he found a bag containing nearly $5,000 in the parking lot of the bank. He told local media that he made the spontaneous decision to take the cash. Now, 3 months after that decision, he's been charged with larceny. The man said he found the bag containing nearly $5,000 in cash lying in the parking lot of the bank, and he kept it. But 3 months later, he now faces a charge of third-degree larceny. This is a 57-year-old man. Have you not learned to give back what's not yours? There probably would have been a reward for you if you would have turned in the $5,000. I don't care if they gave you $100. It's better than now what's happening to him. Here's what he said. I walked out into the parking lot, saw something on the ground, and there was no one around, so I picked it up. He says, it's not like I stole something. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? This is what's wrong with America right here, is this mentality. You knew it wasn't yours. It was in a bank bag, sir. It's not like I stole something. If it's not yours and you take it, you're stealing it. I don't care where you find it. Bottom line. Oh my gosh. He said he kept the bag believing that he had no obligation to return the bag to its rightful owner. I can't even believe what I am reading. He said, I just took the cash and called it a day. I don't even know whose it was because I didn't look. All I saw was the cash. Here's the funny part about it. He said they literally went to the video, the bank video, and they found who it was. I'm trying to actually find in here where it is. I can't even find what it was. I'm just reading some of this. I just cannot believe that I am actually seeing this article. Anyway, it was somebody, obviously somebody else's money. And what happened was now he's being charged with a felony, up to 5 years in prison, and you guessed it, up to $5,000 in fines. And he says, this is like a crock of baloney. I found money, and now it's going to cost me money. Yes, that is exactly what happens when you steal something that is not yours. You, sir, I don't believe you. I do not believe that you did not look to see whose it was. You didn't just see cash, pull it out, and leave the paperwork in there. No. You knew exactly who it was, and you didn't turn it in because you stole it. And because you stole it, you are absolutely being charged with the right thing, and that is larceny. And now, because it was over $5,000, it's now a felony. I just don't get it. Why not just turn the money in? Why not have good character and integrity? Because integrity is doing the right thing when no one's looking. The problem is, sir, someone was looking. It's called the bank security cameras. They found you. They caught you. And now you're in trouble. It's called the law of reciprocity. It's not karma. I know some people would say karma's a you know what, but that's not what it is. It's called the law of reciprocity. You sow a bad seed, you're going to get bad seeds. So when you steal, something bad is going to happen. Either somebody's going to steal from you or you're going to end up getting caught. Everybody thinks that they're going to get away with something. And you know what? That might be true for an extended period of time, but eventually you're going to get caught. And the reason why you're going to get caught is because when you do it once and you do it twice and you do it a third time, it gets a little bit easier and you start to get a little bit looser in what you're doing. And eventually you make a mistake. All criminals are dumb because they make dumb mistakes. They might have thought out the very first one really good to where they didn't get caught. But then it just got a little easier for you. And then all of a sudden, you don't really think through those decisions and you leave out a missing piece. And therefore, bam, you get caught. Did you not think that the bank cameras were going to find this? I don't even understand this dude. I am grateful that I really do try to treat people the way I want to be treated. So if I find money, let's just say I find $100 bill in Walmart or in Lowe's, whatever department store I'm in, I would literally take the cash up to the register, up to the service desk and say, hey, I found this $100 bill on the ground. It's not mine, but I know somebody lost it and hopefully they'll come back. And you know, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll take your name and number. And if nobody claims it, they call you to come get the money. But yeah, here's what people say. Yeah, but that money will never come back. You know, the associate that I turn it into is just going to take it and not even turn it in. And you're right. That might be true. It might be true. But guess what? You did the right thing. And because you did the right thing, you are the one that will reap the reward later for doing the right thing. The person that doesn't do the right thing is the one that's going to reap the reward for doing wrong. And it won't be an award. It will be a consequence. Because that's how it works. You don't take things that are not yours. You turn things back in. And it's happened to me a couple times. I'll just tell you these quick stories. We all went on a trip, and I paid for the trip with some friends, and they ended up paying me cash. So I had this cash. I had over $1,000 in my wallet. Went into Lowe's. I had these pants on with not very deep pockets, and I guess I stuck my phone in the same pocket. I don't know what I did, but either way, all the cash fell out. Over $1,000. And I was heading to the bank. I went to Lowe's first, and then I was heading to the bank. I got to the bank. I went to Target, which I don't ever go to Target. I just went to Target because they had Starbucks over in Washington. I hate Target. I don't even hardly do Starbucks anymore. But either way, I went into Starbucks, got me a drink, came back. Then I went to Walmart, to the bank, and I went to go get my cash, and guess what? It wasn't there. Boy, panic began to set in. And I thought, holy smokes, I just lost over $1,000. I couldn't even tell you exactly how much it was, but it was over $1,000. I do know that. So I started backtracking everywhere I went, and I went back to the very first place, which was Lowe's. And I went up to the customer service desk. I said, hey, I know this is a crazy question, but I lost a large amount of cash in the store when I was here a little bit ago. I'm just wondering if someone turned it in. And the lady told me, she said, you know what? Somebody did turn in a pretty good amount of cash. Can you tell me how much it was? And I said, I don't really know the exact amount, but it was over $1,000. Well, she said, well, the manager that is taking care of it is not here on duty. You'll have to come back tomorrow. So the next day I went, the manager was there. They went and looked it up on the security camera to make sure it was me. And it was. And what it was an associate in the store found the cash and turned it in. Ladies and gentlemen, that does not happen very often, but it happened. And I went and I asked if the guy, because it was a guy, I asked if he was there. And they said, yep, he's right over here. The manager took me right to him. I shook his hand and I just said, you know, there's not a lot of people like you left in the world. And I just want to thank you for being honest. And because of that, here's $100. And I gave that man $100. He didn't want to take it at first. He's like, no, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. I said, absolutely not. Listen, it was over $1,000 I could have lost, but you returned it. So $100 is nothing compared to what could have happened. So he took the money, and there was a couple people in the aisle, and they kind of clapped and cheered for him. It was a very cool moment. And I think people need to be rewarded for moments of things like that, because that is real integrity. That's real, true integrity, is doing the right thing when no one else is looking. And ladies and gentlemen, you will be rewarded for that somewhere, somehow, someday. And those of you that take things that are not yours, like this man did in Connecticut, he acted like he was doing nothing wrong. I wasn't stealing anything. I found it on the ground. Yes, but it's not yours to begin with. And if it is not yours, you're stealing it. Just turn it in. Who cares if you don't get it back? That's the part for me of fearing the Lord, is reaping what you sow. The Bible is clear. The fear of the Lord for me is, if I don't do something that I'm supposed to do, if I don't be honest, I don't want to reap that negative seed into my life, because it's going to be worse than whatever I did. That's the fear I have. Unfortunately, there are people that don't have that fear and obviously don't have a conscience about it, evidently, or they ignore it at the very least. But at the end of the day, you will be caught. You will be found out eventually. It's just like an affair. Sure, you can have an affair, but eventually you're going to get caught. You're going to do something stupid and get caught. That's the way it works. If you lie, you're going to get caught. If you cheat, you're going to get caught. If you steal, you're going to get caught. The lesson, ladies and gentlemen, is you're going to get caught in one way, shape, or another. At some point in time in your life, you're going to get caught. And you might get away with it for a little bit, but eventually you're going to get caught. I hope you hear the lesson today. The lesson is you're going to get caught. The lesson is to do the right thing even when nobody's looking. It's called integrity. Integrity. We need more people with integrity in this world. That's what we need. Well, I don't even know what to say anymore. But this man got caught. He's paying the consequence now, and I bet he wishes he would have just turned it in the first place. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you think in the chat, because I'm curious. Well, let's go into my next topic. That was a lot longer than I expected, but that's okay. I just got a little sidetracked on integrity. Hope you're enjoying the show. I hope you're enjoying what I'm saying out there today. It's not like you don't know already. I'm not telling you something that you do not already know. You already know what I said. I'm just reiterating it and just challenging those that are listening. All right, one thing that I did want to discuss, and it's about men, about fathers. And I just find it really interesting that there are a lot of women, desperate wives and moms, that are often at a loss when it comes to their husbands or their sons. And it's because they'll say, well, my Christian husband, so the guy's supposed to be a Christian, she says he's verbally and physically abusive. And ironically, he thinks that I'm the problem, and he sees no need to change. I will tell you, there are a lot of men in the world that are exactly that way. They call themselves Christians. They're verbally and physically abusive through their spouses, and yet they don't see the problem as them. They see it as the woman or the wife, and they don't think they need to change. They think the wife needs to change. We're going to talk about this in just a minute. I want to discuss this. I don't have a lot of time to go deep into it, but I want to talk about how this country, America, is in real need. I should say we're in desperate need for real leadership. We desperately need genuine leaders. We need broken, humble men who are not afraid to admit that they need God. That's what we need. So when we come back from the break, I'm going to dive into this in the last segment. We'll see you in just a minute. Okay, let's talk about men. Let's talk about how we need men today be real leaders. Can we do that just for a minute? Let's just take the last segment and let's talk about how we desperately need genuine leadership. I find it that when you have a man who is broken and humble, and they aren't afraid to admit that they need God, To me, that's the most powerful man in the world, is a man that understands they can't do it without God, number one, but yet at the same time, they don't know it all. They're humble about it. And I just feel like men have largely forsaken their God-given roles as spiritual leaders in their homes. And so, for instance, let me just give you, I don't know if I want to go into all that. Well, here's what I'll just say, because I don't have a ton of time. I only have about 9 minutes to discuss it, and I probably need about 30 to really talk about it. But let me give you this list of how men are not being spiritual leaders. All right, Bible reading and prayer are called fanatical, while working 12 hours a day is called success. They build careers and neglect their marriages. They are corporate executives being praised, and family men are now frowned upon. So you got these corporate executives that are being praised, but yet family men are frowned upon. They have increased their wealth, but has decreased their values. We search for the heavens for answers and turn from the one who created them. Pride is actually considered an asset and humility a liability. So when you're humble, it's actually a liability. It hurts you. We know more about our favorite athletes than our wives and our children. We'd rather be seen leaving a bar than leaving a church. We praise our favorite team, yet fall asleep in church. Wow. Men, you are not called to be a passive, weak, indecisive partner. You're called to actually protect, lead, and guard your families. You are the one that should be initiating prayer. You are the one that should be saying it's time to go to church. You are the one that should defend your wife. You, sir, are the one that should shepherd your children. You are the one that should make your home a holy sanctuary, not a breeding ground for Satan. You, men, are called to fight the enemy, not flee and run from him. I got to be honest, man. I am tired of weak, passive men who never contend, stand, or fight for anything worth dying for. Men are weak today. They care more about their success in their business or in their work or job than they do about their wives or their family. And the only reason why I know that is because I am a pastor and I talk to many families and women and men, and I listen to their verbiage, I listen to their language, and on top of all that, I see what's important to them by what they do, not just by what they say. Because you can have all the greatest intentions in the world and say you love your family and say you love your wife and say that they're the most important thing to you. But when you don't do what you say, that's where the problem becomes. Because actions speak louder than words. Our country is looking for men with character. Your wife is looking for a man that is a leader. And our kids, you know what? They're looking for fathers who will be there for them, who will spend time with them. We're not talking about quantity time. We're talking about quality time. We understand that you have work to do and there's a lot to do. I fully understand that being a man, being a husband, and being a dad, being a leader in the home is one of the hardest things that we have to do because we have to balance all of that. And because we are the leaders, we are the ones that are supposed to also set the example. And that's tough sometimes. But man, you got to look in the mirror. Here's what I will tell you. You got to stop playing video games. I know adult men that still play video games. And I understand. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play a video game at all. But there are some men that's all they do, and they're grown men, but yet they play video games all the time. They're addicted to porn because their needs aren't being met the way they feel like they need to be met. And so they take other action. They go a different direction. And when you do that, you're dishonoring your wife when you look at porn. Porn is a killer, man. It's the worst thing you can do. Set up some boundaries so you don't do that. What you need to do is tell your ungodly friends that you have to hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. You need to find some godly friends, ones that are going to challenge you, ones that are going to sit there and say, dude, that's not the right thing to do. That's the kind of men you need in your life. You're called, men. You are called to lead, love, and die if necessary for your family. And I'm just going to tell you, the reason why this nation is falling apart is because we don't have enough men standing in the leadership position. Women are trying to rise up and fill the void that is happening in families today. And the sad part is God did not create women to do that. God created men to be the leaders. Ladies, that is nothing bad against you. God had given you an amazing role, and your role is just as important as the man's role. It's just not the man's role. That's why women have to stop trying to be the man's role, because it ain't going to work. It's just not going to work. It's not intended to be that way. And what us men have to do is we have to stop blaming everything else, including your spouse, for the reason why your marriage is falling apart. Wake up, because life is a battleground. It's not a playground. You're playing with fire when you do that. Men who are hurting their families, they don't need to be encouraged and coddled. What they need is to be confronted, challenged, and convicted. Because the truth does hurt. I know when I've had men in my life share things with me about what I should be doing, I don't always like what I'm hearing. And a matter of fact, I get offended at it. I really do. I am offended. Not only am I offended, but I also get defensive because I don't want to believe what they're saying. But then what happens is I sit there and I think about it and I think about, man, I don't want them to think that way of me, number one. And number two, I don't want it to be that way to my wife or to my kids either. And so what happens? The Holy Spirit begins to convict me and starts to challenge me and allows me start to see the things that I need to change. And man, is it not easy to do, but it's a must do. And that's the part that we all have to work on. We have to work on this. Well, I'm not saying it's easy at all, but men, you got to know that character is caught, not just taught. You can teach someone to have character, but where it really matters is if they catch it by watching you. Your kids are watching you. As a matter of fact, there's a great video out there right now where someone's talking about how character is caught from the way dads are. Tiger Woods, for instance, and his son Charlie. There's a video of the mannerisms that he and Charlie have identical. Why? Because Charlie Woods watches his father do everything, and without even thinking about most of them, he emulates all his stuff when it comes to golf, his interactions. It's insane. Go look it up. And it's because kids catch their dad's character by what they do, not by just what they're teaching them. So, knowledge is knowing that we need to repent, but wisdom actually does it. So you can have all the knowledge in the world of what to do, but wisdom is actually applying the knowledge. Knowledge is putting paint in a bucket, but wisdom is applying the paint on the wall. You're actually using it. So men, I just want to challenge you. Be a leader in your home. Do whatever it takes. That's my mentality, whatever it takes. And trust me, there are days that I don't feel like doing whatever it takes, but I know that's what I'm supposed to do. And I don't go by what I feel. I go by what I'm supposed to do. At least I try. I'm not perfect. I fail, but that's my goal, is to do whatever it takes. Listen, thank you guys for joining me today. I'd love to hear from you in the app. I'd also like to know if there's a topic you want me to speak about. If there's a topic you want me to talk about, put it in the chat or text me 314-924-4215. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend.